Yeah, I'm a bit nervous now, so please pardon me. Yes. And I'm extremely privileged to be standing here to be sharing with you my experiences in intentional development, especially with very distinguished panelists here. So, I don't think I can cover a lot of things today. So if you require any clarifications or elaborations on my part, please come and look for me. So this is my favorite picture to tell my friends about international development. And this is because this picture encapsulates a lot of things I'd like you to take away with. First of all, you see the third man from the left here. He's actually a very wise, very experienced mason, and he has a lot of knowledge on concrete tanks construction. So in this project, which I worked with him closely for 8 weeks in Tanzania, we invited him over to a village. And then there, he shared his experience working in the communities here to tell them about concrete jar construction in relation to rainwater harvesting. So this lecture here is one of my favorite because it encapsulates 2 points. First of all, the idea of knowledge transfer, teaching others so that they are able to learn from them and then capacity build them accordingly. And at the same time, using local resources, which is often not the case. We have a lot of people flown in from overseas to teach them about things, but they don't stay there for long. So the knowledge is actually lost. So the idea of using local resources is very important and it's very rare in a lot of projects overseas. So before I continue further, I'll just talk more about myself. In school, I was quite inspired to do community service projects. So I continued volunteering with YMCA and Old Joy Care Services. And then subsequently, I even had a part-time job with Central Singapore CDC. And that inspired me a lot to work with communities. And I find that it's actually a joy and pleasure to work with communities to help them better themselves. And then I made a choice to study overseas, and I studied civil engineering. And then as I was studying, I realized that I can actually marry my interests together, doing community development as well as engineering at the same time. So there I started to dabble with Angels Without Borders, and I never looked backwards, because I thought it was a very good choice. And then I went on further to do with Raincatcher Imperial. So just to make a point clear, I'm still an undergraduate. So yeah, I'll be dividing my presentation into 2 points, or 2 segments rather. So the first part will be some of my experiences that I've done with EWB-UK and those in the UK. And then I will tell you about some lessons that I've learned that I think would be quite nice to share with you here. So first of all, these are things that I've done in the UK over the past about 2 years, and yeah, I'll just run through in depth with you what they are. So first of all, EWB Imperial is a student society that is set up by EWB-UK. So what we do is that we just tell others more about international development to our friends in the school. At the same time, we'll start up with projects. So there is my friend who's trying to interest others about this project that started in the Philippines. And then we also carry out, trainings, courses, because we believe that as a trained and skilled volunteer, you're able to contribute so much more as compared to an untrained and unskilled volunteer. So we carry out courses such as fundraising to cultural sensitivity, because these are very important for volunteers or for engineers who are placed in a different environment. And we also carry out some fundraising projects and also some relief projects accordingly. And as I mentioned earlier, EWB-UK is the main parent organization, so they will run projects or even like a seminar to induct all the volunteers that they have in all across UK universities. So they tell you about their goals and how they plan to move forward. And these are things that are very general, but they also have very technicalized trainings. So in this case, this is one of the programs that I participated in. So it's called Shelter for Disaster. So they reduced us into refugees. They didn't give us a place to stay, and they had to work very closely with each other to construct shelters. And they come with different design requirements as well. So for this one, it's actually situated in the center of a community, and it's more suitable for the elderly because they need some accessibility issues. And the one on the right, which is the one I built, not very finished at the moment, and it was being photographed, but it is built for people who are marginalized in a community that it's being displaced. So we have different design requirements, and it's partly technical because in the sense that we are taught how to build things from all these different types of woods that we are given, but at the same time, we also expose us to the non-engineering aspects which engineers ought to consider as well. Things like deforestation, things like sanitation, things like logistics, and even things like women's safety. These are things that engineers have to actively place them in the center as they come up with designs. And this is things that make humanitarian engineers different from common engineers. So the next thing will be on Raincatcher Imperial. So Raincatcher is basically a UK charity that works closely with the Tanzanian community to improve the access as well as the quality of water. So I was fortunately one of the volunteers that they chose to work closely with the community. So it was about a group of five of us. And we don't believe in sending a lot of people there because we don't want to displace the community. We want to function like small NGOs where we work closely with the community, working with people there directly, hiring people there such that they are meaningfully employed. So we work closely with the community, we tell them what we want to do. In a way, we're not really the ones transferring knowledge, but we're doing more project management. We bring together people of the different skill sets together to a common place at a suitable time to engage the community effectively. We also work with the community to look for future sites such that we can carry out projects, as well as to assess the sites whether they're suitable or not. And it doesn't just stop at the engineering aspect. We go further, we work with them to tell them more about financial literacy. We also try to implement some form of micro lending system. We are still currently studying it, but so it's not confirmed at the moment. And back in the UK, that's where we start planning, monitoring all this progress. Because once we start a project, we can't stop it there. So we build projects in schools and we continue to work with the school administration to make sure they're being run properly. And next up, it's EWB-UK challenge. So it's more of a design program, it's more of a design competition. We are given a scenario of Timor-Leste, and that's where we start doing projects. And I was quite fortunate because I was working on disaster management. So it kind of like exposed me to the idea of engineers being involved in disasters and what they need to do in kind of environment. And lastly, it's this design context course that I went for in Mexico. So it was organized by EWB-UK together with two other parent NGOs in Mexico City. So they were telling us about the different kinds of technologies ranging from rainwater harvesting to permaculture as well as other forms of rural development strategies that they have. So this course actually taught me a lot about international development. So this program here is actually a lady from University College London who's actually working very closely with the communities, telling them how to use the systems. I guess it made me think that that's what humanitarian engineers are all about. Using the technology as well as ensuring that the people who are using the forms of technology know about it and understand it as well. And there is this amazing program known as biodigesters done by EWB. So they do not just stop at providing a service as well as after sales service. What they do is that they work closely with the communities, they work closely with art therapies as well as school children, come up with interesting stories that you can never see. So in this case, biodigester, the flame is blue, so they came up with the idea of blue dragons, such as they are able to interest children to tell them more about biodigesters. So in the Mexico context, red dragon means fire, and it's a very commonly known myth. So what they did is that they just transformed this myth and they came up with this idea of blue dragon to introduce and make children more engaged as well as more educated about all these technologies. So right now I'll just move on to the 3 lessons I've learned. So first of all, the main point here is learn, unlearn, and relearn. So as I was saying earlier, I feel that development is not for everyone. If you have a heart to do it, I feel that you need to find yourself more skills and more training such that you are able to contribute meaningfully. And once you're inside it, I think you need to share your experiences to make sure that the others know more about it as well. And then a lot of people who have been in the field will know what is doable and what is not doable. So it's always good to learn more from them, and see what is being implemented. And why I mentioned unlearn and relearn is that in the field of international development, a lot of things happen very quickly. So at one point of time, hydroponics, or rather high-end hydroponics, is considered a form of sustainable agriculture. But right now, this form of practice is in this phase. So a lot of things have been developing, and a lot of things that you need to be updated as well. So the main idea here is to keep an open mind about things. Next up, we have context and design. So every community is very different, and if you come up with solutions, you have to match the community accordingly. So in this case, when I was visiting Tanzania, this community there actually had a lot of resources that we thought we didn't know. their problem was that they didn't have a well to draw the water from, and the water is quite dirty. So what happens is that after talking to them, realized that they actually have the financial resources, they actually have a lot of manpower resources, and these are things that are very valuable for us to help the situation. And okay. So, and a lot of us have the misconception that village poverty development, it's not what we usually think about. When we talk about village, it's not a very nice term to talk about that. It gives the idea of rural, backwardness, that kind of stuff. As well as development. When we talk about development, we think of buildings, cars, machineries, but that's not what it's really all about. Development is just having a quality living for everyone. So, when we talk about development, we talk about like rural development. So these are very different concepts, and it's not what we usually think. So that's why you need to understand the context further to give a better meaning of it. And in this picture, you see Kiva. It's a giant micro-lending organization. So what they do is that they have micro-lending projects all around, and you are able to contribute to this online, anytime and anywhere. So this is a very good form of trying to combat the misconceptions, because they tell you about how these people that you think are poor actually have a lot of resources, and they are able to do so much more if you're just giving them a bit of money. And as I was saying, ABCD, asset-based community development, that's the thing that I'm trying to share with all of you here, because when we work with communities, they have the resources, it's just whether we know how to work from there. And last but not least, survey, or answer any questions. So the engineer here, he's trying to work with the community, tell them more about the ceramic water filters that the NGO came out with. So it's very important for us to work with the community closely. And at the same time, as and when, we need to learn how to review programs accordingly. So this rainwater harvesting system here, it was done up, but it wasn't properly maintained. And that was something that the Raincatcher Imperial didn't do very well. So once we built it, we didn't really follow up from there. And subsequently, a lot of problems came up. So that was why we feel that it's very important to review these things and make sure they're being done properly. And last but not least, a lot of us tend to think that we'll just shove the projects away and leave it to local partners to finish up the projects, and as and when they need problems, to run to them. But I just like to ask you is if this is a good way to solve the issues here. So there are a lot of different areas of internship development that you can contribute in, whether it's assistive technology, or whether it's healthcare, or whether it's just NGO management. A lot of things that can be related to engineering, a lot of things that may not be related to engineering as well. So if you're interested to know about any of these issues, I would try and recommend you to read up, and then once you're able to find this area, I'm sure you're able to do well, and you're able to contribute more to internship development. At the moment, I'm not too sure what is my interest area as well, so what I do is that I'll just go inside and just find out what is most suitable for me and what I like most. So I guess that's probably the way that you can find your own interest and your own passion.